Sister's going to a wedding this
The
week.
dreaded wedding.
She's going to a wedding. Welcome back. Thanks for joining New York Living.
Yes.
Marisol Castro.
Chris Amino here.
We're talking about weddings and how to save money on your wedding. But as we were talking about this in our morning meeting, we came across this article about couples who are doing something that I never anticipated.
Psychedelics.
Yeah.
They're giving out psychedelics to their guests at their wedding. That could create quite the scene, especially you give psychedelics to grandma or something. Can you imagine what would happen?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. But, you know, some of these people, they had waited so long to have their wedding.
Right.
They were intimate weddings, and they were
Okay.
like, you know what? We wanted to just do it. We wanted to monitor it, so we gave out mushrooms. We gave out this. But it was, like, closely monitored.
I was going to say, but everybody reacts differently to that. I mean, that could be a crazy free-for-all. You know, the bride goes home with 3 grooms. That could be a problem.
That could be a problem. But is it any
that could
different than
happen.
having an open bar? I don't know. I had an open bar at my wedding.
You did. Well, of course.
And everybody stayed and
Open
they
bar,
danced.
but not
and
an open psychedelic bar.
This is very true. That's
I'll
very
have 2
true.
mushrooms and a martini,
And
thanks. You know, it's like,
That would be tough.
oh boy.
That would be tough.
Anyway, let's get to the real stuff.
Get to the real stuff, because it is, in fact, summer wedding season, as I mentioned. My sister's going to a wedding. The planning process is stressful, and you likely already know a wedding can be very expensive.
Yeah. I'm just stopping twitching for mine, and that was 30-something years ago. But according to the most recent estimate from Brides magazine, the national average cost of a wedding is nearly $29,000. But keep in mind, where you live also plays a factor in the cost.
That's a year of tuition. You know, cost when you live in the Northeast, everything is
much
expensive.
higher.
So the average wedding here is nearly $32,000. So we wanted to talk about ways to save on weddings. And we are very lucky because we're joined live this morning by Gabriella Rello, Editorial Director for Brides. Gabby, thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you both for having me.
When Chris and I got married a long, long time ago,
Not we didn't get married.
we
but
did not marry
we
each other. When
individually
he
got-
married his significant other, the rules of the engagement were very different. But we threw out some numbers. $32,000 on average to plan a wedding here in the Northeast. Do you anticipate that number will go up or down for 2023?
In 2023, unfortunately, we do anticipate that prices will continue to be on the rise. We are being impacted by COVID in every aspect of our lives, and weddings are no different. So the supply chain issues that we're all feeling on a regular level, couple that with all of the postponements, all of the engagements that happened and were delayed weddings, we're seeing a huge competition for wedding dates, and everything is just a little bit more expensive right now.
Sheesh.
So if you're on a tight budget, which a lot of people are obviously now, what would you say is the immediate, easiest way to cut back on some of the costs? What do we aim for here?
We're telling couples to be flexible. So if you can choose an off-peak wedding date, if you can choose not a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, if you can choose a Wednesday, a Thursday, if you can choose an alternative venue. But if you cannot compromise on the time, we are telling couples to reduce the guest count. It is the quickest way to save money. You're able to save money on flowers, on rentals, on food and beverage. Bringing down the guests is just the easiest way to maximize the number you can spend and make that experience really wonderful for those in attendance.
If I may ask, what generally is the average size in terms of number of guests at a wedding? I'm curious because Italians, it's 350 people, and it's just,
I had
in half the neighborhood.
Puerto Ricans, we had like 250.
Yeah.
There's really no true average. People are having 50-person weddings. People are still having 300-person weddings. I think what is important is to look at the number you feel comfortable spending on your wedding date, the number of people that you really are non-negotiable on who can be there, and figuring out what feels comfortable. You can always invite more people. You can't uninvite people. So we always say start a little smaller. You can have a B list and very tactfully send out backup invitations with an alternative RSVP date. So just do what feels right for you. Do what feels comfortable with the budget.
I actually last year got invited to a wedding, and it was like the next weekend, and I was like, oh, we were on the B list.
Yeah, you know that when that happens.
We were definitely on the B list. I think I think for people who are getting married, no matter where you have it, you want it, or how much money you're spending, you want it to look. Hopefully you only do it once, and you want it to look magical. And I know flowers play into that, but flowers are not cheap. So what are some recommendations there?
Yeah, flowers are very expensive. Importing flowers is super expensive right now. We're telling couples to really work with their florist, give them a number that they feel comfortable with, give them a style and aesthetic, but don't dictate the actual flowers. So rather than saying, I want all roses and peonies, give them a look you want, classic, elegant, colors you love. And they'll work with what's seasonal, what fits your budget, and really be able to deliver that look you love and the style you want without breaking the bank. So being mindful about what the flowers are instead of going with these large, lavish, over the top arrangements. You might want something a little bit more pared back, but really trusting your florist to deliver the look you love on budget is the number one tip. Seasonal, local, those flowers are always going to be a little bit more affordable. So instead of dictating certain bloom choice, just letting them roll with it is always going to be your best bet for saving money.
If you're getting married in February, don't go looking for peonies because they're not in season.
Always want to have something nice up that Marge and Aunt Teresa fight over the centerpiece before they go home.
Exactly.
So I know we're talking about cutting costs, but you also say one thing we should be investing in is a planner. So tell us a little bit about why you think that's so important, even if you are in a budget.
Yeah, a wedding planner is the single best way to save money. They will save you time and they will save you money. So a planner will be able to realistically recommend vendors and ideas that will fit with the budget you have. They will keep you on budget, they will help negotiate, and they know the vetted pros in your local area who are going to deliver the best job on your budget. So trust their recommendations. They are invaluable. It is an expense that some people feel they should cut, but we think that they will the return on investment leaps and bounds is worth it.
But Gabby,
so always book a planner.
Gabby, what should people expect to pay for a wedding planner?
The value depends on your region. Just like we're seeing those numbers changing based on where you're getting married. A planner in your region will always be different. You can give planners your ideal budget and they will let you know if they are the right fit for what you work with. And there are tons of different types of planners. So there's day of coordinators. There are full service planners who are with you every step of the way.
But are we talking like $500? Are we talking $10,000 on retainer? Are we?
We're likely talking about in the thousands versus hundreds. A day of coordinator would be in the hundreds range. But it's an investment that's really worth it because these are the people who will intro you to the vendors in your area who are going to do a great job. And when there's super high competition, which there is right now, having a planner who can introduce you to the right people and help you get in when those dates are very, very highly competitive, the return on investment is going to be large.
All right.
Not Martin Short from Father of the Bride. He was probably pretty expensive.
Not Martin Short's. First, we're going to start with a cake.
Yeah,
exactly.
No,
Franz.
Gabby, thank you so much for
Thanks, Gabby.
For walking us through that. Love the hydrangeas behind you, by the way. They are in
Thank you.
season. You can find more wedding inspiration and ideas online at brides.com.